Around 2600 BCE, the Indus Valley Civilization reached its zenith, managing a geographical footprint and urban density that surpassed its contemporaries. It operated as a vast, coordinated network of planned cities and regional hubs. While the Minoans at Knossos and the Egyptians along the Nile dedicated their resources to grand palaces and monuments for god-kings, the people of the Indus Valley followed a different set of priorities. Mohenjo-Daro reveals a city organized on a strict grid, focused on residential foundations rather than royal dwellings. The archaeological record lacks grand temples or elite palaces, pointing instead to a society built around a shared urban experience. This focus on public welfare is best seen in their plumbing. Harappan cities utilized sophisticated brick-lined street drains and domestic water management systems, providing a level of sanitation that would not be seen again for millennia. This infrastructure suggests a society that coordinated its labor toward public health and accessibility. By prioritizing drains over monuments, the Indus people created a functional, unusually egalitarian urban environment. Despite its sophisticated design, the civilization began to decline around 1900 BCE. For over a century, researchers have debated whether this disappearance was the result of a sudden catastrophe or a slow transition. Early 20th century scholars proposed the Aryan invasion theory, suggesting that violent invaders from the north destroyed the cities. This theory gained widespread traction despite a lack of direct archaeological evidence for warfare or massacres. Modern biological data has corrected this narrative. Genetic mapping of ancient remains shows a long-term population continuity within the subcontinent. There is no evidence of a sudden, foreign replacement of the people who built these cities. Textual analysis also supports an indigenous perspective. The earliest Vedic literature describes a landscape and river system, specifically the Sarasvati, that matches the geography inhabited by the Harappan people themselves. The decline of the Indus Valley traces back to a prolonged environmental force that dismantled the foundations of urban life over several generations. 4,000 years ago, shifting Pacific temperatures disrupted monsoons, triggering an ecological crisis. Paleoclimate data reveals megadroughts where rainfall dropped 20% for up to 164 years. As the Sarasvati River desiccated, the hydroengineering that built these cities failed, leaving large-scale urban life unsustainable. Without the monsoons to flush the drains and fill the wells, the civilization's urban order began to fracture. The environmental shift forced a complete reconfiguration of how these people lived. The physical consequences of this crisis are preserved in human remains from the late Harappan period, providing a material record of social stress. Skeletal analysis shows a growing health divide. While individuals in formal cemeteries remained relatively healthy, those found in peripheral burials during later periods show high rates of trauma and disease. These skeletons reveal evidence of malnutrition and musculoskeletal strain. Markers such as linear enamel hypoplasia point to periods of childhood starvation, while porotic hyperostosis indicates severe nutritional deficiencies and chronic health stress. Anthropologists view this as structural violence, a condition where social arrangements expose specific groups to greater risk and suffering. As resources became scarce, the burden of the collapse fell unevenly across the population. The evidence suggests that as the environment failed, the most vulnerable members of society bore the heaviest physical cost of survival. The Harappan population persisted by transitioning away from the urban centers through a strategic process of de-urbanization. Topographical data tracks this movement. Over 5 centuries, density heat maps shift away from the dried-out Indus Valley and toward the Ganges Basin, where rainfall was more reliable and agriculture could still thrive. Cultural continuity remained strong during this transition. Pottery designs, such as these intricate peacock and geometric patterns, transitioned from Harappan urban contexts directly into the rituals and symbols of the subsequent Vedic period. Specific cultural icons survived as well. Artifacts like the Pashupati seal demonstrate how Harappan religious symbols and motifs were adapted and carried forward into later Indian traditions. The society reorganized and survived by returning to a rural, decentralized way of life. The cities were abandoned, but the culture itself adapted to the new ecological reality. Modern metropolises face similar resource strains as global climates shift. The Harappan experience serves as a historical parallel for the vulnerabilities of contemporary urban life. Even highly planned and stable systems can eventually fracture under the weight of prolonged environmental stress and resource scarcity. The story of the Indus Valley reveals that when resources fail, social equality is the first casualty, leaving a permanent biological record of structural violence in the bodies of those left behind.